I'm about to wrap up for tonight and watch a movie, or let it watch me as I go to sleep. My life has been riddled with all kinds of calamity, drug abuse in season and out of season, family issues, uh, esteem issues, all sorts of things. But the one thing that I've never allowed to sway me was the intimate place Yah has called me to be with Him. Younger in my life, I got a word from my grandmother's church on my father's side. And Mother Beecham said to me that I was a very strange, unique man, different. And she said I had asked God for something, and it was very difficult for Him to give it to me. But He was going to give it to me. And the question that I asked God was, I wanted to know and understand the angelic, not from Hollywood's perspective, but from the perspective that I could understand it. And she also said that there were going to come a time when people were going to want to hurt me, do harm to me. She said, but when they come to do that, God is going to manifest Himself in my midst. Now, I don't know who knows that faith is like money. If you got a whole lot of money, you can do a whole lot of things. If you got a whole lot of faith, you can do a whole lot of things. I had no faith really to believe it, but I put it in my heart. And my aunt told me to, but I don't understand, to put it on the shelf. So the very first time that somebody was speaking to me with threatening words and intimidation, I never really ever had the heart to shut up and be quiet and move around. Just very, I don't even know what the word would say, courageous. Anyway, this guy basically made some threats at work. And my boss immediately came to my defense. But the next day at home, there was just a lot of unusual spiritual activity going on. I was living in one of the oldest houses in the old part of Norman. It was actually the first convalescent home in Old Norman. Well, something started making this noise like helicopters, and it sounded like about 30 Apache helicopters had landed on the house. The sound was so muffling, and it was shook the whole house. So I got up to go see what was out there, and there was nothing out there. So I didn't see anything, so I just, chalked it up to, just something happened. But that was the first experience that I mentally had to make a note and put it in my soul, like, what the smell good was that? The second time all this occurred here in Norman, Oklahoma, there was a black guy who lived in the same apartment complex as me, who also had he and I had to share the same first name. Well, he and I had some words, and I was trying to be sincerely concerned about him, because one day I was coming home from work and I saw him crying in tears, crying uncontrollably. And he wasn't the kind of man that you would see just crying like that. So I was like, so he just went off on me. And I said, okay. So a few months later, he confronted me and a white friend of mine in the parking lot with a pistol, maybe about 3 or 4 yards away. pulled the gun out. Don't know if he tried to shoot the gun or not, but I kept talking smack, and he got in the car and left. Well, last week, today is the 28th, I was in a what you call a flop house. It's where people use drugs, buy drugs, do all kinds of things. And had just met some new people, and they had tried to keep me from going there before a couple of my other friends, for whatever reason, I don't know. Well, this one guy came in, and he was aggressive toward me, and I knew this guy from some time I had shared in the Cleveland County Jail. Not only did I share time with him, the Spirit of the Lord had moved on me in the county jail to pray for him and to prophesy over him. Well, this guy, when he and I had words, he came back with a hatchet and got crazy. And I guess he thought I was going to back down because he had a hatchet. Well, I kind of thought about it, but before I knew it, my mouth was going and didn't shut up, and he swung and hit me smack dab in the head. Can't even see the scar now. He didn't even have a scar, but he hit me good. So I had to think about me being able to whoop that hatchet, or me being able to whoop him without that hatchet. I chose option 3. I can't whip a hatchet. So he came back again, and this time he was consumed with fear and the stench of fear. And I didn't say anything to him because I didn't want my good works to become evil spoken of. So the other guy comes in 20, 30 minutes later. Never seen him a day in my life, but he was a black man with the greenest eyes you had ever seen. And I don't think they were contacts, and he had like a blondish hair. And he just started woofing at me, and I was like, man, I've been going through it since I didn't walk. Oh, he been over here. What you mean you? He got real crazy with me, and then he pulled out a 45. Now, after the incident with the hatchet, I took a ride home to pick up some money and some drink to go back to finish hanging out, because the hit on the head was not going to spoil my literal fight to get out of this apartment and be social and around people. So we get back, but on the way back, the guy I'm telling back, he's like, man, I got a gun in the car. You want to use it? I was like, a gun in the car? What would I need a gun for? I got so much unseen help, I wouldn't dare take away from their opportunity to help me. So we get out. I didn't perceive anything was gonna come of anything. So we get back, and here comes this dude. So we going at it back and forth. He pulls the gun out, point blank range, and pulls the trigger. And the sound was so muffling, it didn't even shake me. But I was shook, but it didn't shake me. And I kept on talking smack. And his eyes was as big as plums. He pulled the trigger again. Pow! Everybody was already gone. Except me and this other girl and the guy that lived there. I'm so amazed. I'm in shock, but I still can't process what just happened. My face should have been blown off. So at this point, my ears were like ring. I couldn't even hear because the sound was so muffling. So I was like, look here, man, I need to sit down. I need to have a couple drinks real quick, get myself together. I didn't even want to do no more drugs. So I said, let me sit down for a minute and get myself together because that was a little bit much. They all of them stupid stuck couldn't say nothing. That's what you call a faith deposit. I couldn't even talk about it for a couple of days. I couldn't even think about it for a couple of days. It was so big. So I'm putting this on my playlist because I am ordinary by no means, but the most ordinary person you could meet.